So revenue problem. Gold Gym charges its adult members $50 a month. The club has 600 members, adult members, and Global Gym estimates that for each $5 increment of monthly fee, it will lose 50 members. Determine the function that models Gold Gym's revenue. So the formula to figure revenue. Your revenue is the number sold times the cost. Okay, now we need to read this question a little carefully. The maximum, enrollment is 600 adult members, and each of them currently pay $50. Now, every time the monthly fee goes up by $5, so each increment, or every time it goes up by 5, it will lose 50 members. Now, this increment is the important part. Each $5 increment. So now we're going to say let X equal the number of increments or steps. So if the fee went up $5 the first time, that would be one increment. If it went up to $10, well, there had to be two increments. It went to 5, went to 10. If the fee went up an extra $15, well, that's 3 increments. And each time it goes up by an increment, you're losing 50 people. So first time it goes up $5, you lose 50. When it goes up to an extra $10, well, you lose twice this amount. You would lose 100 people now. And if you put the fee up an extra $15, for each $5 you go up, you're losing 50. So you would lose $150. So our revenue depends on the number of increments, the number of steps that you're going up. So the number of these, 1, 2, how many times you're going to keep increasing the fees. So it's by the number of people that have a membership times the cost of a membership. So the most people we ever start with is 600. And we lose blocks of 50. Now, when do we lose 50 people? For every increment, it goes up by $5. So the cost would start at 50, and every time you put up by $5, you're going to lose 50 people. So let's just go through a straightforward example of this first before we try and solve it. So let's say there are no increments. Let's say they don't put it up by $50, or sorry, by $5. So it starts off in the beginning. There are no increments, so leave the fee alone. So it's $50, and they're not going to step it up at all by $5, so it would be 0. So you'd have 600. Subtract 50 times 0 is 0. Then you have 50 plus 5 times 0, or just 50. So that would be $30,000. Okay, let's just keep going with this. Just hopefully this will help everyone understand it. Now let's say they put it up by one $5 increment. So you're going to lose 50 people. The revenue you bring in now is 50 times 1. This is the first time they put it up by $5. So the cost goes up to 55, but the trade-off and increasing the cost of a membership is that you now lose 50 people. So 60 subtract 50, or 550 people remaining, and $55 per person. Well, let's say they've done that again. 600 people, and you're going to lose 50 people every time you put up by $5. So let's say they put it up by $5 again. You know that you're going to lose 100 people. But the trade-off again, you have 50 plus another $5 increment, 2 times 5, or 50 plus 10, so 500 people now, but each of them are paying $60. So we use that to determine the maximum revenue generated. So revenue and X is the number of increments. Well, let's work our equation right now. So it's in standard form. So revenue. So up here we had 600 subtract 50x times 50 plus 5x. So we'll do 600 multiplied to everything inside. So it's 30,000. Subtract 3,000 x. So the 600 is multiplied. Now we multiply the 50. So negative 2,500 x. Subtract 250 x squared. So 30,000. Subtract 5,500x. Subtract 250 x squared. So our x squared, our a value is negative 250, so the graph points down, up, down. So we start at 0, and then here. So how many times can you put it up by $5 to get the maximum revenue? Well, let's get the number of increments, and that's x equals negative b over 2a, negative 5,500, and our a value is negative 250. So negative times a negative. Okay, I just noticed a small mistake there. 600 times 5 was a positive 3,000. So this right here is not the right number. So I have to change it there and here. So this should be 500x. So negative 500 divided by negative 500. That's 1. So you can only put it up by 1 increment. Now that was shown up here, that if you didn't put an increment in, you'd have $30,000. Put in 1 increment of $5, and so your membership decreases by 50 people, but you're not charging $55. You bring in 30,250, and if you put it up again to $60, you'd lose 100 people, and you'd back down to $30,000. So the most you could put it up by is one increment if you want to continue to make the maximum amount of money. And so the monthly fee that produced the greatest revenue is $55.